If marketing is not systematized, it means that still you don't have a business, you're trying to have one.
The only role that the creative has is to stop the scroll.
We just put the training in the ad itself. So the ad was like 20 minutes long. People were just seeing the ad and they were clicking the ad and they were going through the funnel. And the leads that came through that process were very qualified leads. Basically, if you don't have a system where you get daily leads, it's very difficult to call that a business. What it means to have a system is you getting removed from the process at around 60 to 70% of the time, and the process running without you. And the reason why the funnel is important is because you start to monitor, for example, like where do I have the problem?
If you do have a research, you can even reverse engineer funnels.
I would suggest keeping it clear, but not very easy. The more expensive it is, the more difficult it should be for your customers to reach you because you need to filter them out.
If you don't have a system, you're doing it manually for sure.
They have started to work in the business and not on the business. They understand that, for example, they don't have free time.
Do the launch for 2 weeks, and if in 2 weeks it doesn't 70% ROAS, kill the product.
After you implement the funnel, the next step is optimization. Without having the funnel, the first step would be figure out a constant flow of leads. And that's what I would recommend. Try to automate the process. My best performing funnels have been 15 words, 2 sentences. Keep it simple, straight to the point, and give them your offer. Give them something of value first.
What if your funnel pulled in leads like clockwork without babysitting in 24/7? So welcome to Flowmax AI, Future-Proof Leaders Podcast. And today's guest is Alsi Shafarat. Builds funnels that convert 60 to 70% and scale without chaos. He managed over 3 million in ad spend and builds systems that run without the founder. So if you're stuck tweaking funnels late at night or trapped in delivery, this is your turning point. So we're unpacking how to build a conversion engine that frees you instead of trapping you. So let's dive in. So Alsi, when did you realize marketing could be systemized? And why did that change everything for you?
Yeah. Hello, Justin. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. So when did I realize that marketing can be systemized? I think it was pretty early. So I've been working for the past 15 years in the digital marketing space. And actually I started doing marketing and selling door to door. So I would sell paintings and I would carry them alongside with me and sell them in different places. I would go to people's houses, even to the beach, and sell them there. And so I began to understand that there were some psychological tricks that made you sell more products. So for example, one of the tricks that I usually use is the way that I presented myself, the tone of voice. Who was with me? If I was with a girl, I would sell more if more than if I was with a boy. It was pretty evident the difference between having a different approach to people, having a good approach, having a happy approach. And then there was a big difference when, for example, I was scared or not happy, or I was even in a bad day. And my partner, who I was with, who I was selling products with. And then I began to kind of set into one place and sell products into a specific place. And the funny thing is, for example, I would choose the locations and different locations had different results. So I started to understand that the most important thing actually in selling on the streets was the location more than the person, more than the people selling, more than the presentation. And after some times of choosing the location, it became systematized. I knew which location I should sell the products on. And this was actually very, very early on, 15 years ago or something like that. And after I transitioned from selling door to door, selling on the street, to doing digital marketing, it was pretty obvious that systematizing marketing was one of the most important things to do. And by systematizing, I mean having a clear process of having a flow of having some daily activities, but also or a flow of leads. So basically, if you don't have a system where you get daily leads, where you know where you are getting them from and what quality of leads you have, actually, it's very difficult to call it a business. So you still don't have a business. You might have a product, but you don't still have a business. It's very difficult when you're running a business and you don't have leads, because every day you need to wake up and find creative ways where to sell your product and where to find leads. If you have a system of getting leads, let's say just 10 leads a day, but you know that you are going to wake up, you're going to contact 10 people, 10 people are going to come and they're going to speak to you about your product. Then you know that you don't have just a product that is sitting there, but you have a business because you have a process of getting leads, of talking to your leads, and of selling your products. If marketing is not systematized, it means that still you don't have a business. You're trying to have one. So that's my idea. And for example, I was talking about selling door to door. Let's say, for example, that I didn't have a system of like selling to people. I didn't have a process of selling to people. I didn't have a place to like look an idea of where I should go. Many of my days would go with zero sales. And zero sales means that I would just have my product on my back and not be able to sell the product. And this is the same thing on the digital space, actually. So it's very, very important to have your business systematized and have a process of selling your products, actually.
Perfectly agree. And before we even like expand more on that, I was curious about your story. Like, why did you choose this path in terms of like really systemizing funnels? What's your story? What was your trigger point? What was your pivotal moment that made you choose?
So there were two moments. Like the first one was starting sales and marketing. Like I was telling you, selling door to door. And the reason was because, of course, I didn't have enough money. So I live in a poor country where it's very important to kind of work. And actually, like the job market is it's very limited. So for me to transition into like a real profession, I had to like start doing something. And it was something. And so that's where I started to understand that how sales work and how marketing works, etc. And then I transitioned into the digital space. After some time, I became very proficient in marketing. I started working with an AI startup back in 2019. We were doing like voice AI, collaborating with Amazon. And there I started to understand that it was very important to have a system of leads because on the startup, we didn't have a specific system of doing sales. So we are scrambling every day. We're waking up, trying to find new leads, trying to find new customers. We didn't know where the leads were coming from. So one day, for example, we were applying to an accelerator to get more funds. Another day, we're applying to we're doing applications to government to get government funds. Another day, we're waking up and we're trying to sell to, for example, hotels. The other day, we're waking up and trying to do cold calling. And it was like very, very hard because we didn't have a process. We didn't know our target audience. And after the exit of the startup, I started working in the US. And actually, I was doing work for a company in the US where they would systematize the whole process of the business. So they would start just like working in the operations of the business until they went and did the systematization of the marketing process. So that was the second moment where I understood that having this constant flow of leads was very, very important because I saw businesses that were getting their house in order and then we're getting a flow in leads and they doubled and tripled their business in a very short amount of time. So in 1 year, we've had businesses like triple in 1 year just by having a system where they got the leads, they got the sales, and they were able to kind of have a predictable business. Actually, so that was the second point or the second turning point where I saw a lot of transformations happen just because they put a system in place, which didn't have before. So businesses that were doing, for example, 200, 300, 400K, even up to 5 million, they didn't have a real system in place. And when the team went in, we worked with them, we got the process, the funnels in place. They almost all of them saw their revenue starting to drive up. And for some of them, it was like an explosion.
Yeah, that's a very awesome, I would say, epiphany for you to observe those. What I've observed, like a lot of businesses, they just wing it. They don't have systems, and they are praying every day that they get new leads, and having less. I mean, having to stop getting leads manually. I mean, if you don't have a system, you're doing it manually, for sure. So if you're doing it door to door, you're doing it probably calls and some right now. If you haven't even discovered what AI can do, then you're already behind into what is the fastest way to get leads, and maybe you could also automate the leads. So I'm very curious, and probably the audience will be very curious as well to really unpack and uncover your experience, your expertise about this. So let's start with the root. And I know that you have built funnels that convert at 60% plus minus, and probably more than that in average. So where does it begin? If we were to really start from the beginning to build a system, like where do we begin?
To build a system, it first starts with the business owner before anything else. So the business owner kind of starts to understand that they are stuck. They have started to work in the business and not on the business. They understand that, for example, they don't have free time. They are working like almost all day on the business. They are stressed, constantly stressed in their own business. And it starts actually with them. When they understand that, okay, it's very difficult to continue this way because, for example, some businesses might be lucky. For example, they might have two big customers and that's all they have, but they do a lot of money. Some others might be lucky because the product was a very good product at some point in time, but now the sales are starting to dip. So it starts with the business owner understanding that something needs to change. So that's the first and the most important thing. And after that, I would say it will start with like doing some research, reading some books, talking to AI. So kind of understanding the situation where their business is at and what's not working. Because sometimes the problem might be on the back end. So sometimes the problem might be on the way that the product or the clients are being handled. And sometimes the problem might be on the front end of the business, the leads and the sales. So understanding where the problem is the second step of the process. And then after you understand what is the problem, and most businesses, in my experience, struggle with leads and with sales. And understanding where the problem is at, then you can intervene on the problem. Creating and building funnels starts in understanding that part and understanding who your target audience is and where you can find your target audience. Because you might have two different types of funnels. So you might have, or there are two ways to get to your audience. One is you reach out to them. So basically you contact them, you call them, doing like traditional SDR. The other one is you wait for your customers to come to you, or you wait for your leads. So you're doing inbound marketing, like you might have organic channels, you might have SEO, you might have like a good presence online, you might do podcasts, you might have a lot of things where you wait for your audience to come in. And after you have a stream of clients and systematization, then you might build very good funnels. Before that, you might have some structure in place, but the funnel is not that important because you're figuring out the steps, you're figuring out how to talk to your customers. But I would say at least like if you are working with like low ticket offers below $200, at least you need to have like 10 to 50 leads a day to kind of start building a funnel. If you're working in sales or you're an agency or something like that, you might start doing it with like 2 or 3 leads a day because like one lead might be worth like $2,000, $3,000 or something in that range. So that's the point where you start building funnels, like when you start having the first flow of customers that are coming to you daily and you're figured out your sales process. And what the funnel actually does.
I wanted to pause a little bit because it's a little bit interesting to really go deep into that. I was wondering if, let's just say, when a business is probably from the range of 100K to 1 million annual revenue, usually they already have some clients that is already in their list. Some, maybe I would say 50 to 70% doesn't have a funnel, doesn't have a system, and they are just depending on outreach, like the manual way, right? And do you think at that point of their business, can they, let's say hypothetically, the step one and step two that you mentioned earlier, like they have to understand what is their problem? Is it the leads? Is it the sales? Is it the conversion? And once they realize that which one is the problem, it could be the inconsistent leads that they're getting, right? So if that's the problem that they have, would they be ready to start building that funnel?
I mean, they can start building the funnel if they have inconsistent leads, because even those leads can like benefit from passing through a sales process. And I would start like documenting everything. For example, like if it's a high ticket product, I start documenting and creating every step of the funnel. If it's a low ticket offer, I would do the same, but you don't need that much documentation because the process is a little bit different. So yeah, definitely they can do that. It's very important to start doing that. But at the same time, it's very important to figure out the leads. So for example, let's say they're doing the outreach manually, like what you were mentioning before. Now they have like, for example, AI at their disposal. So what they can do, for example, and what I would do is try to automate the process. The first thing that I would do, I would create like a scraping profile where I could scrape profiles every day. So a specific target audience that I would scrape them from LinkedIn, from Google. I'd even use, for example, like depending on how profitable the business is, there are a lot of lead generation websites where they give you the leads and you just pay for the leads. And basically I'll start like doing this process. If it was me personally, I would just like scrape the leads every day. For example, every day I would scrape 1,000 leads. And then in the middle, I would put like an automation. And let's say, for example, I'm scraping for podcasters like you, Justin, and I want to contact them because I'm selling a product about like podcasters. I simply go to LinkedIn, have like buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator, then put it in on a scraping tool like AP5 or something like that, or Phantom Buster. This is another tool that it is used for like LinkedIn scraping. Get all those contacts, put that into like an automation, maybe use N8N or Make.com. And then after the automation runs, I get all the leads every day. And then I can put it in another automation where based on the profession or what you're doing, maybe what you published recently, etc., or what episode did you do, I put it into like connected with an AI tool. And the AI tool sends then a personalized message to you. And it can go like a simple outreach message and say, hey, Justin, like your last episode was great. I saw you do this and that. And I have a product, like I have a product that can help you do this in this amount of time. And if I can't help you, then it's fine. Like I'll give it for free. So that's the first way to approach a lead. And that's where the funnel starts. So now I systematize the process. This is the classic outreach example. And after that, I might have 2 or 3 steps before closing on you. So this is where the real funnel starts. So the second step would be like, I offer you something for free. I do it and I say, hey, Justin, I'll offer you this amazing offer. I'll do it for free. For example, like I'll generate like a 1-page marketing plan for you. It's free. If you like it, we can have a 15-minute call. And then we do a 15-minute call together. And in the 15-minute call, we just chat. And maybe we decide for another call and have like a longer call. And I show you my products. And on the next call, I close a deal with you. But having this constantly, let's say, for example, every day I have 10 people like you that I'm contacting and 10 calls, it'll be a very short amount of time where I'll start doing sales in a daily basis. And so then I'll have a system. So basically, what it means to have a system is you getting removed from the process at around 60 to 70% of the time, and the process running without you, but with your supervision. And the funnel starts at that specific point when you have like a constant flow of leads. And the reason why the funnel is important is because you start to monitor. For example, like where do I have the problem? Am I not getting leads? Am I not having a chat with other people? Is the offer the problem? Am I not having sales? So which step of the process is causing me problems? And then you start optimizing. So after you implement the funnel, the next step is like optimization. Without having the funnel, the first step would be figure out a constant flow of leads. And that's what I would recommend.
That's a great way to illustrate it. So it's like you need to map, like, probably what is the process that you want to have the flow of the customers. So it could be a lead magnet, it could be a 15-minute call, as you said, and it could be also a closing call after that. So, and as you mentioned that, I think just if you have a system, you can also optimize. Once you let the system run, then you feel that, oh, this is not working, so okay, maybe I'll fix the offer, I'll fix this, I'll fix the process, this and that. So that would really save a lot of time, because if imagine if you are just doing things manual, And I could remember my younger days. I've also done my sales as well, and when I done my sales, I was also doing door to door, like even road shows and even cold calls. That was the old, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when we don't have this funnel, what we call funnel right now. And it takes a lot of time. Like, not even to mention about how to qualify the leads. That's
Yeah.
another system that
And
we can even
stress.
create.
Yeah. A lot of time and stress, both of them.
And do you know that sometimes when you have a sales team, your salespeople will tend to get discouraged when they get unqualified leads, and that, that will destroy the momentum of the team. So having a system is really critical. And thank you for sharing what you just shared about like mapping the whole high converting funnel. So I would love to really go deep into about that. And we're just starting the episode and we're already talking tactical, and it's interesting for me and probably for our audience too. So let's probably zoom in a little bit of, if in your opinion, like you have been doing this for quite a while and you have seen a lot of use cases from different industries, from different companies, from different sizes as well. What's the first lever you will pull when you're building this high converting funnel? Like, everyone can just build any funnel, but what is that first lever when you're building a high converting funnel?
So it depends on the business. When I'm like, if I'm building my funnel, I would do two things. First, understand where the audience is. So, for example, you might have your audience in Facebook groups, or you might have your audience in LinkedIn. You might have your audience in Instagram. So, understanding where your audience is very important. An audience from Instagram would be very difficult to convert to a customer fast. So, you need a different funnel. An audience from a Facebook group might be different. So it depends on where your audience is and what stage is your audience. And the second thing is, what product do you have? So products below $200, they sell differently. Products more than $200, they sell a little bit differently. And products more than $3,000, $4,000, they have a different process. So based on the price point of the product, you will also create and construct the funnel. So that's the two main things that I would take into consideration before starting to map and build the funnel.
So before we you want to share something, just curious about, you mentioned about the market, right? Where that funnel comes from. I mean, where that market or target audience comes from. So if it's Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or LinkedIn or even YouTube, they should have different funnels
Yes, if it's
to
organic,
design.
if you are doing ads, for example, then it's a different funnel to design and to create. And of course, you play with different tactics after a specific point in time. So it's very, very important to understand where your audience is coming from and their state of mind. And then it's the product itself. You cannot sell like a $4,000 product just having a lead magnet. So it's very, very difficult to do that. And what I would actually do is I would use AI to understand the framework at this specific point in time. So there are a lot of fantastic guys, especially like for example, Russell Brunson or Alex Hormozy and people like that, who they have like been working with these kind of things their whole life. And the way that I approach it is that I just to brainstorm, before like even starting to map something. I have created like my own chatbots with the information from those guys, because as you know, like AI tools are very general. So it's very difficult to extract the right information that you want. So I just go talk to the chatbots, like to the Russell Brunson chatbot, to Alex Hormozy chatbot, depending on the use case. So for example, like if I want my offers, Alex Hormozy is a fantastic book, like $100 million offers. And I have created a chatbot just for that specific book, and I go and talk to it. And I understand, for example, and I see if my product has weak points or not. The same thing for funnels. Like I just go and talk to like a Russell Brunson funnel and see what funnel can I implement, what framework can I implement from my product and from my audience. So that's the way that I use AI even before starting to build the funnel itself.
That's a very good tip. Does it help you a lot when you're talking to those chatbots? So let's say we compare those chatbots doesn't exist and you do it your own way before? Like, what was your old process?
Same thing. For example, like I've read a lot of marketing books. Whenever I want to build something, I just revert back to the books. I open the funnel schemes that I've worked for like 30 years now, and just like I go over the schematics. I see what steps are they making the audience pass through, why are they going through the steps. I map the steps, and then I see if I need to change anything on the steps for the funnel. But I would suggest, like, if you don't have a funnel in place, start with something that it's already proven to work. And for example, like Russell Brunson has a lot of funnels, and he explains very well, like, which specific use case do you want to use. So you want to do a webinar funnel, you want to do a challenge, you will do like lead magnets, how to implement a lead magnet, etc. Depending on how you are selling your product. So start with what works, and then test heavily after that. Optimize it. So that's the process that I usually follow.
You mentioned about if you don't have the access to the chatbots, you can refer back to the books like Russell Brunson's
Yes.
books, Alex Hormozzi's books. Any other books or reference that you recommend to?
So I'd recommend, for example, Jeff Walker for launches if you want to launch a product. There's another guy called Pedro Adao, for example. He does like a lot of challenges. He's awesome for challenges. For example, Russell Brunson also good for webinars. There's also like a training for webinars. It's a paid training, but you can find the author did a lot of free videos called Goat Webinars, like greatest of all time webinars. It's also that it's very good for building like webinar funnels. For lead magnet funnels, I would suggest Alex Hormozzi. For lead magnets, he has an awesome book about building lead magnets and how to create them. It's a little bit more difficult if you want to create like outreach funnels, like SDR, etc. Like it's a little bit more difficult for that. But you can find also resources that help you with that. For example, at the moment, let me just find the right resource for you. I am following a guy that has Maker School on School, and he does like a training about like how to do outreach, how to do automations, etc. And he's also great. He has like a huge following on YouTube, like 180,000 people. I just don't remember the name at the moment. His product is called Maker School, and you can like see then from his YouTube. He has very good like scraping automations, outreach automations, where to find your customers. So it's more on a sales development perspective more than on an inbound perspective. So these are some guys and some books that I would recommend. I would also recommend some branding books or like general marketing books, like The Purple Cow, for example, from Seth Godin. It's an awesome book. While for marketing psychology, I would recommend a marketer called Nick Kolenda. He has some amazing books out there that he speaks about marketing psychology, pricing psychology, offering psychology. It's awesome. And just to mention, like also Dan Kennedy, for example, is also a good resource. Good marketers. Yeah.
Yes, I love them too. I love them too. I have read some of them. So beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all those resources. And so, in your opinion, and when your marketing journey, when you're building funnels, let's just say hypothetical, right? Any company is doing manual, they might get overwhelmed with so many books, right? And what is that one, maybe just one resource that they can just start?
I suggest Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. Yes, it's a collection. And like actually what Russell has done, he has collaborated with a lot of very famous marketers. And it's a kind of a collection of a lot of information from those people. And there he teaches how to build authority. So he has like a framework of how you can present yourself to the world, how to build like a following, how to find your dream 100 first customers, how to create a webinar funnel, how to create an email sequence. It's a very good book, in my opinion, to start understanding how funnels work and to start implementing some of the funnels. I would suggest everybody starting to build a funnel to kind of read through the book. It's a very easy read. It also has a lot of images. So it's a very good introduction into the space, in my opinion. There are like more books that are tailored to experts, but that one, I think it's a very simple read and it covers a lot of areas. And it also has some very good technical examples.
Yes. Yes, fully agree. I already read that book too, and sometimes I'm like you. I will also
Yeah,
go back and read them.
yeah,
Okay, something like I having a roadblock or encountering
yeah,
something, I'll read back the book, and it
yeah,
really helps. So for our listeners, Expert Secrets from Russell Brunson is the first one that if you want to
yes,
put yourself up to speed into marketing, that's the book that you can start with. And thank you, Elsie, for
yeah,
that, for sharing that as well. So
yeah.
if we were to, since we're really going deep into funnels, right? I'm curious about your thoughts about if you were to walk us through into you did mention about earlier, like how you find a market, what is your specific funnels, and you even shared some resources like books on how we can start that funnel, like lead magnet funnel. So if you're gonna talk about like high converting funnel, and probably it could also include lead magnet funnel, or maybe selling a low ticket offer, or probably it could be like they call it in funnels is self liquidating offer, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're having ads, that will also cover your ad cost. So if you were to pick like any funnel that is high converting, and let's talk about if we were to build funnels for our audience on this podcast, let's say from 100K annual revenue to 1 million, and they need systems like funnels, maybe if it's possible, you could walk us through how you could build from scratch. Let's say we just an overview, nothing very tactical and very specific. Maybe just a 5 steps that what are the elements that they need so that they will have the funnel up and running.
So first thing I would first thing I would understand how much money do I need to liquidate the funnel. So how much money does the funnel need to make? It's the first step. Let's say, for example, like for every click, I pay $10. Let's say, for example, or for every customer, I pay $10. I know that for 10 clicks, one of the customer converts. So it's a 10% conversion rate. I know that the funnel needs to convert at 10% and need to make a customer from the 10%, and it needs to make $10 at the end of the process. First thing, so how much money does the funnel need to make? Second thing is, what offer should I put in front of those people? Now, you might have a product, but the product, you can have different offers for the product. So let's say, for example, you're offering coaching services. The product is your coaching service, and you might have 2 or 3 different tiers. But what you put in front of the people might be different. You might put like a lead magnet. You might put I don't know, like a 10-minute consultation, a one pager for them, something like that. So what you put in front of the people is also very important. So I would start working on that. And what Russell Brunson recommends in that case is putting, like, he calls it the most incredible free gift ever. So you stack so much benefits into that offer, and you sell it like for like $5, $10. Like you sell it at a very low price, and you put a lot of benefit. Like you might put like, I don't know, 5, 10 things. For example, like if I'm going to sell like AI coaching, I would put like PDFs, chatbots, automations, all for free. And then I ask for them like, hey, just pay like $5. You get everything for free. It's like of the value of a $200 product. And why we do that? Because once the customer has paid the first time, he is very inclined to pay again. So I would work on the offer, on the principle, most incredible free gift for the customer. And after that, I would map out the backend. So I'd map out the whole funnel and say, okay, first step, they get a free gift, but they pay something. Like they get, like, we call it a free gift, but it's actually like a paid gift for a very low price. Even though he calls it the most incredible free gift ever, Russell offers his book for free, but you pay shipping. So it's a similar thing.
Even one
So
dollar is still paid, right?
it's still, yes, exactly. So I would put the funnel in a flow. I would even just do it on paper, not even have like an app to do that. All the steps of the funnel. And then I would go and search for a specific resource using AI or not. It depends on what resource is the best one to find out the flow of funnel. And after that, after mapping the journey, I would map what I'll sell in each specific point in the journey. And the last phase would be just selling the product, basically, or just creating the pages. So figuring out how much money do I need to make for the offer is the first step. Second step is figuring out what will I put in front of the customers. Third step is what's the funnel flow that I'll have. Fourth step is what product should I put in the backend, because a self-liquidating offer works like that. And I can explain it a little bit in like 3 or 4 sentences. And the last step is just building the funnel. After like finding the framework, you will understand that you will sell like the MIVGA offer or the most incredible free gift offer for $1 or for $1. But then on the thank you page, you might have a more expensive product that costs $27. And then you might even have like another product that you offer, for example, a free trial or something like that. So what happens is that customers pass through a step-by-step process where most of them pay for the gift. Some of them pay for the product in between, and some of them pay for the free trial. And so you get money from a lot of customers, and then you are able to pay for your ad spend, for example, in this case, but also you can even surpass your ad spend and have some profit on that specific funnel. So that's the overall process that I go through to create that funnel. And I would use the new technologies of AI technologies in between to connect all the dots and to make it more personalized for the audience.
Yes, and it's like every step, there's always a, we would say, offer. So first step is the gift. And then as you mentioned, you have the first step as a gift. Then you have maybe like an upsell of some sort. And then once you have an upsell, it could be a free trial. That could be probably the starting point that they will, you know, really go deep into your company, your product, your world.
Yes.
And
And then after that, you can take it with the customers. You can build a relationship. You might even end up selling like a $30,000 product after some time. So then it becomes a relationship. You pass, for example, like one way that I've tried it is with a free membership. So giving the customers like a fantastic gift and then telling to them, hey, you have a 14-day free trial. Just try it. And after the 14 days, many of the customers who went into the membership stayed with us and paid for the membership, which means that we did, for example, like we converted my conversions usually at the first step. It depends on if it's free or not. But if it's free, sometimes you can reach even 40-50% of like conversion rate. And then the second step, you can reach like 20% conversion rate. And then 10% of those people like just stay with you, like 50% of those, that 20%, they can stay with you later and pay for the membership. So yeah, my only advice would be keep it simple and clear. My best performing funnels have been like funnels with, 15 words, 2 sentences, lead magnets with 2 sentences, not complicated. They just put in the email, they get the lead magnet, and then you have their contact. You can contact them via email, etc. So keep it simple, straight to the point, and give them your offer. Give them something of value first.
so I'm curious about, you said simple, and I understand that simplicity is quick for you to improve because it's simple. It's quick for you to implement, and it's quick for you to observe what is going wrong as well, right? But I'm also looking at some funnels which are also high converting, and of course these are high ticket funnels that I see. Would you also consider, if you are selling a high ticket product or a program or solution, would you also just keep it simple, or would you, answer all of the objections? And
So I would keep it clear, not simple in this case, because in this case, you will also need to qualify the leads. You'll have a lot of leads which are not the right leads for your business, and they can become like customers. One of the CEOs that I worked with, he called them like PITA customers, pain in the ass customers, which are customers that you don't want to have. So there is another there is another filtering step that you filter the customers. So the funnel, the more expensive it is, the more difficult it should be for your customers to reach you, because you need to filter them out. I would suggest keeping it clear, but not very easy. So increasing the level of difficulty, the more expensive the funnel becomes, because you'll have then a lot of leads which are not for your business. And like you mentioned earlier, they'll lower the morale of the people. They'll create a lot of problems. You'll have a lot of unqualified leads, and you might even end up with a lower revenue at the end of the day. But
Yes,
also the
and
funnel looks different.
yes,
So for high
I
ticket funnels, I would suggest webinars, challenges, something that you create a connection with the audience. And then I would suggest like having a backend with sales calls. And that's my approach to it. That's what works best with our industry. I worked with a business before that had a specific product like that. And we went from zero to like 500K in a very short amount of time in 6 months, just because we implemented the right funnel only with ads, 300% to 400% return on ad spend. We only used a trick that I might share for the audience. So instead of having the training after the ad, we just put the training in the ad itself. So the ad was like 20 minutes long. So we had a 20-minute ad. People were just seeing the ad and they were clicking the ad and they were going through the funnel. And the leads that came through that process were very qualified leads. We used other tricks, but this is one of them that did us well.
it is working. So I also realize, and maybe I also want to get your thoughts about when you have you mentioned about how big is the ticket value of your offer, and I also observe on the journey of the customer, like what is the stage. So, in your opinion, like would you put the stage first or the value of the offer?
I put the value of the offer first. How much does it cost? You cannot sell like a $3,000 product with a lead magnet. It's impossible. Like you need to have a longer sales journey. Then the stage of the customer. So depending on the stage of the customer, it depends on which step of the funnel can they land. But it doesn't change the overall funnel structure. So if a customer is warmer, he might go like, you might send him a different, for example, type of a training. He might go like, for example, in a longer webinar or something like that. But still he will go to a sales call. It's the same sales call for everybody. But if you have like a $20 product, you cannot afford to have a sales call with them. It's impossible. So I put the price of the product first, and then I put the stage of the customer as a second consideration for the funnel.
So also, I'm just curious about, and I'm speaking on behalf of so many entrepreneurs, and a lot of entrepreneurs think that running funnels, and there's a resistance between they're going to run ads, and that's like a friction when they want to run ads. What's your opinion and advice to entrepreneurs who have this roadblock when they are starting a funnel and they want to run ads, and ads is the budget, the ad spend is actually the roadblock? How would you unpack and get them out from that roadblock?
First things first is like usually business owners understand if they have the right amount of money to run ads. So if they are at a loss, my idea is don't run ads. Ads need a lot of tests and stuff like that. So you need time to figure it out. But if you are breaking even, or even if you're having a little bit of profit and you are not getting enough leads from your current challenge, I suggest starting to test ads. So my approach at starting ads would be first understand how ads work, then choose the platform. I'd personally start with Facebook. There are some ideas out there that Facebook doesn't work. It's far the best option, the best return on investment, the fastest one to start seeing conversions. So Facebook is still the best platform. After doing that, I would start with a budget, with a daily budget. So what I usually recommend is start with $100 a day, especially in the US, because it depends on the country. Like if you're not in the US, of course, you use a lower budget. But I'd just start with $100 a day and direct people to a no-brainer offer, to a very, very good offer. When doing the creatives, the only role that the creative has is to stop the scroll. That's it. Just stop the scroll with the creative, and then you can have like the copy or the caption if it's on Instagram to kind of make that click or have the click. But you need to stop the scroll. From what I've seen in my experience, AI generated creatives work very well, sometimes even better than just human created creatives. So I would use AI without any fear on that. Like just create AI creatives, put some elements into that in Canva, and I would have like my creatives ready in 1 hour or something. There are some specific rules of how to create the best creative for ads, etc. But that's the overall idea. And to find the best winning ads, I usually go to Facebook ad library. Now it's called Meta ad library. And I would search the ads that other people have. So I would go there, see what the competitors are doing, see what other industries are doing, search the ads. Sometimes I download them, I run them into like an AI tool to get the information from them, and then I start building something like that I think it will work with my audience. A lot of times, for example, I even download ads from YouTube. So there's a very good tool called VidTile, like video vid. You can go there and you can see the ads. And the difference with Meta Ad Library is that you can also see how much money did the ad generate. So I will download the ad, put it into Riverside, which is the platform which does podcasts. They have a free transcription tool. Get the transcript, put it into like ChatGPT, and say with a similar structure and a similar layout, create just a prompt for that. Use, and I have my project for my product. Use this specific for the companies that I work with. Use this specific script to create a similar ad for my product, and it will like output like a script where you can intervene into that script. But usually the work that it does, it's amazing if you give it like an example and the structure before. You just need to make sure to have ChatGPT follow the structure, because it goes all over the place sometimes and it hallucinates and it invents things. So you need to go through the script before launching and filming it if it's a video script. It's the same process that I follow with webinars, same process with everything. Like first, like find out where the platform, find out the economics, research, and then use AI to create with AI and use it for generative purposes in this instance. So either create the ad creatives, create the script, create the caption. Sometimes even help me with the ad itself, because Facebook and Google, they have all their AI systems on the backend. It depends on the ad that I'm running. Sometimes I also use their AI, but the idea is it's pretty simple. But do heavy research first. If you do heavy research, you can even reverse engineer funnels. If you go to Meta Ad Library, it'll, if you click on the ads, it will show you the funnel of the competitors or the other industries, and you can go from in their funnel step by step. Sometimes you might need to buy a product, sometimes you don't. There are also other tricks to discover what there are, what the pages are. For example, like sometimes I would go and to the I click that, I send me to a landing page. I will then use and extract the sitemap from the page. And there are simple ways to do that. Not every time. It doesn't work every time, but it works like 50% of the time. And then I go through the sitemap and I understand also what their upsell pages are. And you can go even further. Like there is an AI tool called Minimax. It's a Chinese AI tool. I think it's by far the best agent out there. It even surpasses like Claude and ChatGPT by a long shot, in my opinion. And so you can go there, you can grab the pages, and you can say, "Hey, build me like a page exactly like this one, or have this structure, but use these logos, use these graphics, and use this copy framework, and it will output the page for you." And you might build a funnel like in like, I don't know, 1 hour. You have like three pages for you. You just need to know then how to upload pages, because it will output a code. Of course, it will not a preview and a code, both of them. I use that. I don't create the pages with that because I want to have flexibility. Like I want to have a builder or an app like ClickFunnels or GHL, but I use Minimax to create me the layout of the page. I don't go now into Figma and create it myself. I just use Minimax, give it the logo, give it the designs, and it will do like a fantastic job. Like 80% of the work is already completed. So the process is fairly
Mm-hmm.
simple. Go to a competitor or another industry, grab what works, put it into the AI. It does its own thing. You grab the framework, you start putting your own product, your own expertise into that, and upload it. If you are starting, if you have a lot of time, you're sure you'll be the one that people will research. So
That's a good shortcut. That's a good shortcut for you to start.
yeah, like I built funnels like in 30
And
minutes with that like 1 hour, because the agent needs some time to create the pages. But in 1 hour you have a work that previously you needed like 2 weeks to do. You have it in 1 hour. It might take 3 days to kind of implement everything, etc. But you have saved like 5 days or more by that process. That's usually like how I do the process now. Human input plus a lot of AI input.
so we are already in the middle of our episode, and it's very high value and maximum value for our audience. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about scaling, because right now we talked about the groundwork, like where do we start. So now let's talk a bit about scaling. At that point, you have budgets. Like before $100 a day. Now maybe we have already get the funnels working. We have conversions. We have more customers. So maybe another question would be, how do we keep it smart, fast, and focused? And you mentioned about your tactics on how to make it faster, but maybe now maybe much more of a smarter way and even more focused.
So scaling is different. Is very very different to creating a funnel. How would I approach it? The first thing I would do is create 2 or 3 different funnels, see which one works the best, and double down on that. And after I double down on that, I will start to see the whole funnel and track every step of the funnel. So track the ads, track the landing pages, track the upsell pages, track the thank you pages, how they are proceeding. And depending on the traffic, every day I will go and see how it's performing into every step. And on the side, I also have the industry standards, which I usually use AI to find out what are the industry averages or guess what are the industry averages, because you don't always have them. And now I also use my experience. So I use like the conversion rates of my experience, like how much do I think this thing should cost and what the conversion rate should be. And then very simple spreadsheet, 2 columns, what it should be, what it is. And then I find out the weakest point in the funnel. And let's say, for example, like we are running ads, but we are not having a profit. What I will do in this case is see where the problem is. Are the ads expensive? Is the landing page not converting? Is the upsell not converting? Is the thank you page, for example, not converting, or the tiles that we saw before? If it's a high ticket product, I would see like, hey, is the sales process not right? Is the setters that are not setting up appointments? Is the closers that are not closing up the deals? So I see every day, I will see which step is having issues and then try to optimize that step and start doing A/B tests on that step. Let's say, for example, landing page is not working well. I would have my landing page now and create like a B version of the landing page and then test that. There are a lot of tools that do this. And every day I would have one test running each day until the test is closed and finished. So I consider a test finished after it has 100 conversions, in my opinion. Some people don't have the traffic, so you might have a lower number. But at the weakest point of the funnel, you need to have a test running every day. You don't want to miss a day without having a test. I don't mean like having new tests every day, because you might not have the traffic, but you should not have like blank days where there is no test running, because you cannot crack the code then. You need to crack the code into that point where you have the issue. Now, funnels are complicated. So you might fix the lead magnet, but you might break the sales process because you might have more unqualified leads, for example. So this is all an iterative process. You cannot stop with that. So if you have a working funnel, you need to test it and test it and test it every time. This is also what big brands will do, actually. So I worked previously with a big brand. They do more than $300 million in revenue. And what they did is that they have a lot of products, I think 50 products. So this is just revenue, but I think the evaluation is more than $1 billion. So what they would do is that they would have tests running for each product. So they would launch a product first. They would run ads, do free events and stuff like that, and see what's the conversion rate. And if the product didn't convert at 170% conversion rate, at 170% return on ad spend, they would just kill the product. So
And how long, just curious, how long would you observe that results? If like, is it a month?
in a month, in 2 weeks, very fast.
In just 1 month?
I mean, like do a campaign for 1 month, then do the launch for 2 weeks, and if in 2 weeks it doesn't like convert it at 170% ROAS, kill the product. Just sell the first batch of the product that you promised to the people, and then kill it. If it does, start running it and optimize it.
And I'm curious about, and this is my benefit and also for our audience, right? So if we're testing every single day, are you talking about like there's an ad running and you're doing a split test to something
Yes.
else?
So the way the test works is that you need to do one test for one funnel. So you cannot test at the same time the ads and test at the same time the sales process or the closing. It's impossible, because the ad will determine the audience. So you need to run one test at one point in the funnel. You might even test the ads. So run one test at a specific point in the funnel every day. You cannot run two tests at the same time, it will ruin the funnel. You can try it, but I've tried it, it doesn't work. You don't know what went well or not after that process, and you cannot replicate it. So it might even work, but you don't know why. It's just luck. So that's what I would do, and I would also focus on big tests. I've seen like there's a lot of A/B test advice out there. Test the headline, test the color of the button. These are like, I mean, if you are Amazon, you can do that. But I would focus on big tests. And big tests, I mean, changing the structure of the funnel, changing the creatives, changing the approach, changing the audience, trying new ideas, changing the way that the landing page is displayed, the copy, like do big changes. If the funnel is running well, then you can start doing small changes, like change the headline and stuff like that. But the headline is important though. But try and do like, if it's not running well, like go big on the tests. If it's running well, start going a little bit smaller and smaller and smaller. The better the funnel, the more incremental the tests. The better funnel and the more traffic you have. But one test at a time.
So one test at a time. And I'm just curious because if we're talking about scaling, and as you said, like you wouldn't know which one is working, and if you're quickly just doing every time some test. So what is, aside from metrics, you mentioned about a metrics, when you hit a metrics, this is working, right? But for how long would you want to wait until you confirm that okay, this is working, this is scalable, and we keep on repeating this framework?
I don't know. It depends on the business and on the product, because there are some businesses that have a long sales process up to 6 months. So they might need to wait a little bit longer. There are some businesses which the sales process is it's very short. Like it's like one day. It goes everything through like one day. It also depends on the traffic. If you have like 100,000 people every day coming to your funnel, you need 2 days. You're done with the test. If you have like 50 people coming through the funnel, you need a longer period of time. So it depends on these two factors. I would say so. The average winning percent of tests is around 20 to 30% for experts, for seasoned experts. So 70% of the tests will usually fail. If you are not a seasoned expert, you would expect like a 10% win rate. If you run 10 tests on that specific point and you have 0 wins, then I think it's time to kind of kill it. That's my approach. That's the way that I would approach it. If you have even like lower numbers, lower traffic, I would go through the funnel myself. I would ask my family members to go through the funnel, say, hey, how did it look? Did you understand everything? Ask about the product. So I would do more use cases, more tests, speaking to people that I know, than relying on my audience. But otherwise, I'd rely on the audience for the tests. Go through the funnel themselves, the audience. I get all the recordings, see what the audience is doing, etc. But if it's 0 wins in 10 tests, something is not working. It might be you, it might be the product, but something is not working. While if you are a seasoned expert, you'll understand when it's no go. Like you understand even like even without running any tests, you understand that we can improve things without doing any tests. So
Yeah.
my approach to A/B testing is actually like bold. I don't like small approach. It works, but it works for bigger brands, not for companies that are up to $1 million or something, or even up to $10 million. It doesn't work that well.
So the bigger change when you test is like more like an overhaul versus a small tweak.
That's what brings more profit, But if you have a working funnel, doing an overhaul, it would be stupid, because like you cannot change the whole funnel and expect it to do better. Don't do that. Like if the product is going well, do small changes and do them very carefully. So I've seen people doing like their funnels by having good funnels and saying, hey, look, like we can do better. Let's change this, let's change that. No, like if it's working, don't touch it, especially if it's on the ad side. If it's working, duplicate the ads, don't change the ads. It has a lot of variables. Each variable changes the way that you are gonna run and implement the test. In general, most businesses like struggle with not having a fully functional funnel. So I would suggest trying more bolder steps. But if your funnel is working, be very careful on what you're gonna test. Use tools, use A/B testing tools. Don't just change something because you think it's gonna work. 60 to 70% of the time, things that I think are gonna work, they don't work, and I have experience in that. So just don't do that. Like be careful with your funnel if it's working. It's That's my advice with that.
That's a very great tip. Like some, if you're working in a team, like there's different minds and different suggestions, and sometimes they go overboard, and you will lose a lot of ad spend.
Like I've seen a lot of money being wasted because some people thought that, hey, like we can do better, we can push better, we can do better, and then you end up with having a broken funnel just because somebody thinks they can do better, and the thing is working. Leave it there. You're having a profit. Don't touch it. Replicate it. Do another funnel like exactly like that, and make the changes there. So that would be my cautionary tale in this case.
Yeah, that's a very helpful tip. It's very dangerous if you don't know that tip too. It's a fine line between deciding whether to change something. It's all about the specific stage, the success, the metrics are hitting, and when would you overhaul? When would you do the small tweaks? And when will you not touch? Those are critical.
Actually, Nvidia did that some years ago. They did an overhaul of their website, and it went pretty horribly because they didn't test it with their audience before. People were telling them that, hey, we want this kind of website. They were doing like usability tests, but actually, like you need to see. That's why A/B tests, online A/B tests, are better than what people tell you because we don't actually know every time what we want. So we might like something, but after we try it, we don't like it. So there are also very big brands who have failed into that regard. One brand that has succeeded in that regard is Amazon. They are amazing at A/B tests. They do thousands of A/B tests every day. So most of the big brands they do A/B tests every day actually. But yeah, it's different for different people, different stages. So yeah, that's my approach with A/B tests.
Hmm. Yes, it's different scale as well. So it's best that we learn from the proven frameworks, right?
Yes, if you have no experience, do that. Otherwise, if you have somebody with experience, they know the frameworks and they can break. I mean, the frameworks. Like the example that I gave you, like putting the long form ads at the start. It's something that most people don't do, but it works. Like having a 30-minute, 40-minute webinar at the as an ad. It actually, like for some businesses it works, and that's breaking the framework, but you need to have a little bit of experience first before doing that.
Yes, yes, beautiful. So now we talked about scaling, we talked about like the groundwork. So now let's talk about a little bit more of clarity. You did touch base some points about clarity. So let's talk about for you yourself, like you're helping businesses how they can scale, how they can optimize, how they can build funnels effectively, high converting funnels. How do you keep clarity and control while managing like multi-million dollar campaigns, like big campaigns?
It's not that difficult as difficult as it might sound. Like the ideas are all the same. For example, you might have $1 million funnel, but it's one funnel. It's the same idea. So you need to keep track of everything. It's If you don't keep track of everything, you'll get confused very fast. If you keep track of everything, you have a very simple process. So it's systematizing marketing. This is also part of systematization. It's a little bit more complex systematization process. You need to keep track of everything. Every day, you need to see your numbers. You need to know your numbers by heart. That's how you keep clarity. If you have your numbers, even if you have like 30 funnels, you can understand which goes on into each specific funnel. If you don't have your numbers, I mean, if you have one funnel, you don't need to have the numbers. You can go on and check Facebook and or check the ads or check the reach or the organic. You can go on and do that manually, but if you have like more than five, it's very important to have all the numbers in place. So clarity is kept by tracking. Yeah, so there are a lot of apps that do that. There are some, for example, like I usually use Hotjar, for example, to track what's happening on the landing pages. I use sometimes ClickFunnels, sometimes GHL for the overall funnel. Then for the email funnels, I use different tools like Active Campaigns, HubSpot. It depends on the business, Keep, etc. So it depends on the tools are all different. It depends on the use case and what benefits you. But the best way to keep track is actually have everything on a simple Excel or Google Sheet. I just get all the numbers from use automations, get all the numbers into a Google Sheet, and then look at the sheet, look at every step of the funnel, and see the numbers every day.
Mm. And Since you mentioned about tools in every business, like what would you recommend if they have their own existing tools that may or may not working? Would you recommend to change it or just keep on using it?
It depends. For example, like there might be businesses which they're using old systems and they are kind of locked in the tools that they are using. I suggest a slow transition because so I had a case of a customer using a very old tool. I'll not mention the tool now because of like I don't want to do bad publicity, but the tool is like a CRM and email provider, and it does okay, but it misses a lot of functionality. But it's so engraved into the business that it's very difficult to change the tool. So in this case, I would suggest a slow transition. If on the other case the tool is not so like goes hand in hand with the business, I'd just do it after you see the costs because what is happening is that the tools are becoming smarter. So they're not just tools anymore, they'll start to think. And having tools which are better or on the forefront of the industry will make the difference between businesses. Just a simple scenario. Let's say, for example, you're using a CRM which has AI engraved into that and a CRM which doesn't, or a CRM which is like connected to everything like HubSpot, and a CRM which is not connected to anything like the case that I mentioned before. I can just go there and do a simple search. For example, search the target audience with this. First, search the audience that are company owners, for example, that do this, and how much revenue did they generate, and it will give me a sheet, and I can understand which type of business generates which much how much revenue. And let's say they go on with other CRM which is not integrated and everything. I would need 2 days, 3 days to find that information. So it will be very difficult to find the right information because so the difference is one is easier to build, easier to work with, sometimes a little bit more expensive, but it saves a lot of time and it gives you more insight into the business. So I would suggest to think about that because as tools are getting smarter, they're becoming more important.
Yes, and there are more and more tools as well coming out.
So what I would suggest for that is that don't buy into the hype. Learn the tools, stick with like the industry standards, and learn them well. Like stick with one tool. For example, like for AI, learn one tool, like one AI very well, how it works, what's the prompts, how it works on the backend, how to use its API, how to create bots, etc. And then every other tool is similar to that, so that you can switch between tools very fast. What I did, for example, I learned ChatGPT very well. I learned how to create projects, bots, use the API, use the bots with the API of different tools, use integrations or connectors, how they call it. Use the deep search, use Thor images, create my own chatbots. And then after I learned that, I then transitioned into different AI tools. And now for me, it's very easy to use an AI tool because the logic is pretty similar. Now there are differences. For example, Nanobot that was recently released from Google. It's a very good editing tool. You need to learn that, or VO3 that was released by Google that ChatGPT cannot do. But the idea is it's the same. Like if you learn prompt engineering, if you learn some JSON code, and JSON is very simple as a code. You can learn it in one day. Everybody can learn it in one day. You can do some amazing things with those tools because they all work in a similar manner. So as new tools come by, track the tools that are needed for you, but don't buy into the hype. Learn the industry standards very well, and you can use any other tool very easily.
Yeah, very critical. So those are probably the systems or habits that I would probably focus to avoid chaos, to avoid the FOMO, fear of missing out.
I would
So,
focus in two areas into the AI tools: big American companies and big Chinese companies. There are three or four, like Quen, for example. Minimax is doing
mm,
DeepSeek is doing a great work. I would use DeepSeek, for example, for trying open source products, and then use ChatGPT, Claude, and Google at the same time to understand the differences. And that's it. No more tools. Like all the other tools, just need to kind of stay in the backend and just try them. But the first thing, learn ChatGPT very well. Learn how to use the API very well. Learn how to use prompt engineering. Learn how to use codes, and then go into the others. That's my take on that. To avoid overwhelm, chaos, confusion, stress, and money spent.
burnout.
Yeah, and a lot of money spent for those tools.
Yes, yes. The more tools you use, the more you will also be spending money. So let's say, since if we're talking about specifically about just high converting funnels, what are probably the top three tools that you can create effective high converting funnels just to avoid the distractions?
So there are tools on the more professional side, there are tools on the less professional side. It depends on the average like revenue of the business, etc. One tool that I would recommend is using GHL, a grow high level. The reason why I recommend is because it's drag and drop. You can create pages very well, fast, but it also has a lot of functionality built into that. You have calendars, you have CRM, you have email system, and it's like $97, I think, for starters. But it has a lot of stuff, so you don't need to pay for different tools. So to start, I recommend GHL. It has most of the tools integrated. I would connect it with Microsoft Clarity to have the Microsoft Clarity is free, and what it does is it shows you how the users are reacting into the pages, so what they are clicking, etc. So that's the second thing that I would use for that. And I would use a tracking system, but GHL has a tracking system, but it's not that good. So this maybe Google Analytics, it's free, and you can connect it to your website pretty easily. That's the first three processes, three tools that I would use, and I would use also Canva for creating creatives. That's all the tools needed to start, in my opinion.
So just recap, go high level. We do have the Microsoft Clarity and then Google Analytics and Canva.
Pretty low cost. Like you can even use Canva free, $97 for all of them.
So we're about to close this episode, and by now I have a lot of value from you. So, what is probably one advice you would like to give to a founder that is having an 100K to 100 million, I mean, a 1 million annual revenue? If they're stuck creating their funnel.
Like find a way to get unstuck, and just go out there. Like for 100K founders, I suggest do something very simple and launch. For example, like I told you about 40, 50% and even 60, 70% conversion rate funnels. Two sentence, one email form. That's it. Don't overthink it. There is a process because you need to think of the offer, etc. But if they're doing 100K, don't overthink it. Go to your customer. For 100K, I would say go to your customer. Don't wait. Don't wait for the customer to come to you. Contact your customer. Find a way to go to your customer. Have a simple funnel. Simple funnel might be I contact the customer, I give them something for free, have a 15-minute chat, and or have a sales call and close the contract and send the proposal. Just do that. Or there might be on Upwork, for example, or offering service on Upwork or on Fiverr, or anything like that. There might even be a freelancer. Apply for jobs. Don't wait. Do something different, but don't wait. Like apply for jobs, shoot a video, and do that. If they are on the $1 million side, it's a little bit more complex. I suggest get your house in order. Have the most critical process there would be have A players as your team members, people who think about the business and work in the business. And have an A player who knows how to build funnels. So don't do it yourself as a founder. Like have somebody, but be very careful on who you're hiring because one bad hire can ruin a $1 million business and ruin the team morale. So for $1 million business, I would suggest even hire a person or work with a contractor who knows very well that process. That would be my advice because if you start testing as a founder, you don't know anything. I mean, it's good, but it will take a long time to work. If you hire an expert, he will see your product. He'll say, "Hey, look, like you can do this," and in 3 months you have like a product that like something that is working, more people, more revenue. So the advice changes with the revenue bracket. Like everything with funnels, money changes the funnel and money changes the advice. So more money, different funnel. More expensive, different funnel. It all depends on the cost.
Very profound. And if we're going to talk about in the middle, let's say the 500K, what's your recommendation there? Test a lot.
Research. See, for example, like for some businesses, webinars can work very well. Sometimes I would even suggest create a new product, depending on the business, for the business that are in the middle. For example, let's say that you are offering a membership and you are in the middle and you are offering a membership for like $200 and you are doing $500,000. Sometimes it might make sense increase the price. You might have less customers, but you might have more revenue. So this is a change. Simple change. You change it, you can do in 2 days, for example, and you might have more money into that. You might go from 500 to 700. Sometimes, for example, it might make sense creating a high ticket product. You're offering a membership, but you might do a certification of some sort, or you might do a coaching of some sort, and you might create a webinar or 1 hour webinar. So a new funnel. Create a webinar, get the people that are already in your list that you're talking to that webinar, the members, and say, hey, look, you want one-on-ones with me? Let's do like I'll do a webinar. I'll tell you about everything, and then you sell like a $600 $700 product. So sometimes it might make sense create a new product. Usually, when in the middle, price changes and product changes make a little bit more sense. Usually, not every time. When they are in the lower ranges, usually getting to the customers makes more sense. And when you are in the higher ranges, optimizing and doing a better funnel makes more sense. So it's very diverse, but that's I'm just speaking about the general problems that the businesses might have.
Yes. So having to map it out from different stages. If you're from 100K, just do it. 500K, test, experiment, optimize, and find that converting funnel. And once you're at the 1 million mark, that's the time you're going to find an expert to avoid that learning curve.
Yes, yeah, that would be my like. It also depends because like there's $1 million businesses that have only one customer, but these are the
Ah,
exception.
yeah,
So I know some businesses that are
yeah,
doing more than $10 million with one customer. It's an achievement.
ultra high ticket.
Yeah, ultra high ticket, but still, like you cannot build funnels in that way, because it's a different business. But for the majority of businesses that are at $1 million, I think it's better with that process.
They fit to that category. Exactly, exactly. So, all right. So thank you, Alcy. And we're about to talk about just a quick fire questions, but this is for the audience. If you're still duct taping your funnel together, like you don't know what to do, hoping this episode works for you, this is your wake up call to go back and watch it. There's a lot of golden nuggets here. And funnels that scale don't come from hassle, they come from systems. And this is coming from Alcy, who has been helping businesses scale their business, creating high converting funnels. And if you want to map your own future proof revenue engine, head to flowmaxai.com. And Alcy, where can the people go deeper with your work?
So they can contact me on LinkedIn and they can find me there. I'm also doing some courses and trainings about AI. I don't know if I can mention it here, but Justin, if you
Mhm.
give me the go ahead, but I'll like do a training in next MBA about like agentic AI, and I'll probably be having like creating a community of funnel builders, business owners, AI enthusiasts in school pretty soon. So now I am in the process of creating the product, creating my own funnels. So they might also like find me there after 2 months.
All right. So school and LinkedIn.
LinkedIn at the moment and school after 2 months.
Cool. We will put that in the description when we publish this video. So also let's do a wrap up, like a 5 questions, 1 word answers. Let's just wrap the episode. So let's start with the first question. What's the fuel behind your momentum?
I'd say enthusiasm. I take everything with a playful mindset. So when I'm building funnels, I'm very enthusiastic about it and curious about it to see how
And
people
having
will
fun.
react. Well, like, will they buy the product? Why? It's like playing with ideas. Actually, it's pretty fun.
Wow. It sounds creative. So next one. What is the one trait every future proof founder needs?
Experimenting a lot.
But it could be a good experience and also learn from mistakes, right?
Like experimenting and trying hard, trying a lot. Like I don't know what the future will be with AI and everything. Nobody knows. But at the current moment where we are at, just do it and try and fail a lot of times. Like just do it. Just go out there and experiment.
Yes. Awesome. So what's the one word that describes the funnel game in 2025?
One word would be old, because old methods still work.
And even 2026, right?
Even 26, people don't change. We are the same for millions of years. What has worked in the 2000s still works now. The only thing is the tools that we use and the applications are a little bit different, but the overall psychological profile of persons, the overall way we buy products, why we buy products, has remained largely the same. So I would say for funnels, for sales, for businesses, for startups, everything is still the same what worked 20, 30 years ago. Only because we have new tools doesn't mean we have new people. People are still the same. Tools are there to increase our creativity, do things faster, brainstorm, but we are still the same people.
Exactly. And what's the emotion you feel right before a big test launch?
Excited.
Excited.
Excited. I'm about to find out if the idea is going to work or not. So I'm usually am excited because, like I told you, 70 to 80% of the time tests fail, but you need to keep like a child approach, like an excited approach. Because if it wins, usually it's like a party for everybody. If it test doesn't win,
Exactly.
you get your lessons from that.
Yes, fully agree. So next one, and this is the last one. So to you, freedom in one word.
Freedom in one word. I would choose. I would say freedom in one word is discipline.
Discipline.
The reason why I say that is because, for example, like if you can't work or can't be disciplined at work, you'll end up working the whole day. Like if you're disciplined, you work when you need to work and you rest when you need to rest. You feel free. Otherwise, you don't feel free. So and if you have discipline, you build things. You start creating things on top of that. And even if you are at a job that sucks, if you have discipline, for sure, in some time you'll either create your own thing or find something that it fits you. So I would connect like freedom with discipline, and discipline I'll connect it with enjoyment, because you cannot have discipline with willpower only. You need to enjoy what you're doing. So it's like freedom comes from discipline, discipline comes from enjoying what you're doing. If you don't enjoy work, you need to find a way to enjoy work so that you can create a discipline and build until that. Otherwise, you'll end up like procrastinating, dragging,
Falling off.
yeah, falling off, stressing, being depressed, etc.
Yeah, willpower is not enough, and discipline is not enough, and having both. Exactly, exactly. All right. So to our audience, if this episode sparked something, don't stop here. We've got more conversations coming with builders, systemizers, AI operators who are scaling smart, not just scaling fast. So if you're serious about building a business that runs without you, hit subscribe, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway, share this with your fellow founder that is also stuck in the grind. And this is just the beginning. The future proof journey continues. And I'll see you on my next episode.